insurance is for the poultry industry. Yes, we're talking the business element of this. Now, believe it or not, there's actually very few insurers who seem to offer cover for pandemics in whatever shape or form they might arrive. So let's talk about one possible solution and how difficult this is to actually handle for insurers. I'm joined by Kobus Stapelberg, heads up King Price Insurance, their agriculture division. Kobus, good to have you on eNCA. Appreciate the time. Is there, I don't quite know how to phrase this, is there an insurance for chicken and the poultry sector? Afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Gareth. Thank you for having me on the bulletin. Yeah, we do have in South Africa, we do have insurance for poultry, but only following fire and weather-related damages. So unfortunately, pandemics and epidemics are widely excluded by the insurers in the world. I did see that there is a British company that partnered with an insurer in Britain. It's Global Foods. They are the largest free-range chicken and egg producer in Britain. And they did succeed in 2021 to get a type of avian influenza cover and the business interruptions following that. Currently in South Africa, the cover is not available.
Is that because we are seeing these sort of avian flu strains, whether it's H5 or H7, Kobus, beginning to become more common, that it just isn't worth it for an insurer to actually cover poultry for avian flu, or is it because it happens so infrequently, it's just not something you would offer?
The frequency and the severity of the outbreaks the last 3 or 4 years were devastating. This in 2021 there was about 3.7 million cullies. Currently we are on 7.5 million from the 29th of May when it started this last outbreak until now. There's more than close to double the cullings that took place 2 years ago. And that's the reason why the reinsurers are very reluctant in providing this cover.
Forgive me if I'm taking you back to your first answer. The line isn't fantastic, but I want to stay with you for a moment, Kobus. It's just a bit echoey, so forgive me if you've answered this. Is that only in South Africa that we don't have poultry insurance? Is this fairly common globally? Is it just us in South Africa that doesn't seem to have this? Forgive me if I asked you and you answered earlier. I wasn't quite getting your answer.
It's globally. The only country that we could pick up that do have this cover is that Britain company, the Noble Food Company. So it's a global situation. I had discussions during the last week with our reinsurance broker in London. And I asked him, can't we put a business case on the table to do some kind of catastrophe cover for the Poultry Association? Because if this continues, we might be out of poultry businesses in the next few years. Right. So that's the reason why we are negotiating with reinsurance brokers and reinsurers to see whether we can get a type of catastrophe cover supporting the industry. We don't want to insure each and every farmer on its own. The management of that might be difficult because of the biosecurity measures that are very strict, and they are very good. The Poultry Association is very, very good with regards to biosecurity, one of the best in South Africa. The only problem is the birds and the chickens are it's so easy to get the sickness. It's a fever of a wild bird that fly over a chicken house and it fall down. That can cause the avian influenza to infest in that coop.
Yeah, I mean, most insurers probably couldn't imagine trying to insure for something like a wild bird flying over, landing in a chicken coop. I suppose insurances and insurers can't think of every possible scenario. Kobus, very briefly, as I say goodbye, so you're suggesting, as King Price, with your colleague over in London, that you're calling potentially for a case study in a situation like this, because you think it is something we should have as a country. Is that my understanding?
Definitely, yeah. If possible, I know it's so difficult because it's a global situation, a global problem, that we can't get a cover in the world. It's one or two insurers and or insurers with a company or producer like South African Poultry Association. So I think it's a higher level discussion between government. Government also need to partake. Government, insurance companies, reinsurers, and we need to do a type of catastrophe cover with a business case on the table. So we are busy working on it, and we will definitely follow through with it because we believe the sustainability of South African poultry. We need something to protect the worst case scenario, the catastrophes as we speak now. This is a total disaster at this stage.
Yeah, it really is a disaster. I was about to ask you to sum it up in one word, Kobus, but you did for me at the end. Kobus Stapelberg calling this a disaster, quite right, from King Price Insurance's agri division. It seems there isn't an insurance specifically for scenarios like this for the poultry division. I suppose you could see the argument. How do you try and cover against a wild bird, wherever that bird is coming from, flying across into one farm, infecting those birds, they get transported elsewhere? You can imagine how difficult it is, but I agree. There needs to be some sort of discussion, and hopefully King Price comes back to us on that once those discussions and that case study has been put forward.